that good old SNAP benefits is delayed as of November 1st, 2025. The USDA, which funds the SNAP program, has suspended all benefits being loaded up to states, and then states loading it up to EBT cards. Let's just step back and take a big picture. I am kind of like a very much so wanting America to prosper type of guy. And so for me personally, kiddos and the elderly, folks that literally can't work, and I just don't want them to be without food, I think that they should be getting this thing that, for some, at the end of the day, Congress has made it available for people to apply for it. And if they get approved for it, they should be able to get it. Able-bodied folks between the ages of 15 and 55, it depends on your situation. All right. But the kiddos and all the other type of stuff. So the fact it's not being funded does kind of make me draw a pause. This is a shit hits the fan moment for some folks. OK, folks that do prep type stuff, they're not all in the same type of scenario. For me, I'm gainfully employed. My wife is gainfully employed. I got ways to make sure that I got my commercial size freezer stocked and my commercial size refrigerator stocked. And I wouldn't even know how to begin to apply for the SNAP program. But if it came down to it with me and my 5 kids, and if I ever had to, I would want to know that this stuff was there and I was able to use it. Now, on October 31st, 2 judges did order the Trump administration to use the emergency funding. Step back real quick. So it takes about $8 billion a month to fund the supplemental nutrition program. And the emergency fund has like $5 to $6 million in there. So people in theory would get about 80% of their funds. So let's just say you get $400 a month. You can get close to that. That's not bad. It's not bad. But the big picture is, there are people who are doing generated videos of looting. People are already talking about they're going to do checkpoints and take your groceries. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing for my family personally, but I also want you to step back and just realize that I talked to one of my friends who gets SNAP benefits for some of her young children. And depending on how people spend their money, some folks have money as of last week. Okay, so yeah, they're not getting that initial money funded. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people are just going to start looting. What people may start doing is skipping paying rent to buy food, or skipping paying their car note to buy food. Similar to what federal employees are doing. Most of them aren't getting paid and they're not out here cracking necks. Not that I know of. If they are, let me know. While it is expected that people will get paid their benefits, they will be late. OK. And I don't imagine the Trump administration litigating this to an appeal, trying not to pay it out. I just don't imagine that being the case. It just seems like that would be a political pitfall for them. But there are already people generating videos of people looting. Listen, there's some YouTubers but they're using footage from 2024 showing people breaking into liquor stores and stealing stuff already. They're showing people setting up makeshift checkpoints, saying that they're going to stop every car and they're going to take the shit that you got. Listen, just check your local police department. They can give you bulletins and updates of what's going on. Follow your police departments on Twitter and stuff like that. Like those little things are the things that are going to help you out to know what's going on in your area. For me personally, Mrs. X is not going to be loading up a car full of groceries and I'm bringing them to the crib. Okay, just for a while. We live in a relatively safe space, but, somebody could always be peeping you. You know what I'm saying? So I'd much rather, if there's major grocery shopping needs to go down, it's going to be me kind of knocking it out. Getting large deliveries of groceries is probably not going to happen. First off, people trying to steal the shit off my front porch, or people just knowing I got a whole bunch of groceries that just got delivered. That's probably not going to be the look for me. I live in Texas. I can protect property with boomsticks. Okay, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I can use a gun to protect myself. I can use my fisticuffs to protect myself. I can protect property here in Texas. Check your local state laws. If you live in places like maybe Oregon or California or New York, you literally might not be able to use deadly force to protect property. And groceries, once you buy them, they're your property. So you may have to just fight for your groceries. You can't use a a weapon for it. Know your laws and your rules. So here I can use weapons to protect my property. You may not be able to, but at the end of the day, check your local benefit system to know what that means for you. What does this like mean in the immediate? It could be several things. First off, there could be some food insecurity going on around the nation for some folks. A lot of people who are approved for the SNAP program, especially those that are under the age of 14, also get free lunch at school. And sometimes the two meals they get at school, breakfast and lunch plus SNAP, are their meals for the day if their parents aren't able to make enough, or if they don't even have parents and money's being received on their behalf by an adult and they use it to pay for their stuff. So food insecurity could be a thing for some people, like the elderly, where they're not going to school, right? They may get this stuff directly from these type of resources. Increased stress and people having desperation. Listen, even if you had money last week on your EBTs, even if you had the stuff available to you, or if you have loved ones around you, their stress levels go up. Just like federal employees not getting paid, they may have savings account. They may know that ultimately they're going to get paid back, but their stress levels go up. So that's two things that are kind of like intangible, right? But those are things that you got to think about. Potential civil unrest. I don't want to downplay the fact that there are businesses, I talked about in the last video, there are businesses boarding up some of their windows, depending on where they are. They themselves are allowed to protect their properties with weapons. They're doing that, making sure there's security cameras, knocking the dust off of those bad boys. Those are real things that could happen. Setting up checkpoints and checking each car. That shit ain't gonna happen in Texas, knock on wood. If it does, it would just be a bad day for those bad guys. I just don't think that would be prudent, but could it happen in some places? I don't know. Listen, I've done 2 or 3 videos on this channel about bartering. This is a real moment where you could barter. The last time I had to barter with neighbors is during the storms of 2021 here in Texas. And we needed materials and I had shit that people needed. I needed milk and I was able to barter cigarettes, liquor, and get milk from other people. Now I'm in the position where I have extra milk because we have a commercial grade refrigerator. And if someone were to barter something that was needed, that might be something I might be interested in doing. And so the fact, considering things that people might need, craftsmanship, your creativity, repairs of stuff, or even like your collectibles, your medical skills, your medical supplies, barter might be the way to go. It's almost that time to hang Christmas lights, right? Maybe you have to think about doing that type of stuff as well. Value for value trading is something you have to think about. Hopefully you've already stocked up on those barterable goods, toiletries, liquor, tobacco, seeds. Hopefully that stuff already exists. All right, I made a video about that. I'll link that up just in case you guys want to check it out. But those are going to be some serious considerations that you could think about. Build up your local network. It's kind of too late for that in essence, but up until this moment, hopefully you have connections with your neighbors. I know my neighbor who's across the street, next door to my left and my right, diagonally across the street, adjacent to me, behind me. I know all my neighbors. So if we were in need, if we needed something, then I would hope I would be able to reach out to the different folks that can connect, even family and friends that aren't necessarily on my block within my neighborhood. We can go within a 5-mile radius and get support group if we needed to, and just kind of start our own kind of like community preparedness group. Food pantries are a viable thing, but the SNAP program, for every 1 meal that the food pantry provides, 9 meals are provided by the SNAP program. So what that means is that you may not be able to immediately use that because you're vying with people who use it on a normal basis, federal employees who aren't getting paid, and then now the folks that aren't getting SNAP benefits. So a lot of people competing for the resources of that type of stuff. So you have to think about that. So self-defense, I'm going to reiterate this again. Just make sure you're staying on top of your self-defense, knowing your first aid, knowing your basic medical care, knowing your routes. If you're not a recipient of EBT, but you're in an area where you're nervous, hey, just keeping it real with you. Like, some of my grocery stores are open until 0-1 in the morning. Maybe I shouldn't go shopping at 12:20 at night. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Right. So those are going to be considerations that you have. Reinforce doors and windows. Okay. I don't think people are kicking your doors in for food, but hey, listen, it could happen. Okay. The longer this drags out, even if these payments are approved by the USDA, they're going to be late already. What happens in December, these are things that you have to think about if this step is not finished up quickly. So the biggest thing is going to be always just being aware of your surroundings. If you're not a big fan of what's going on, call your congressperson and kind of voice your opinion about this. Call your senator, voice your opinion about this stuff. All that stuff is going to be helpful for you, and it's going to be the best way to get this stuff done. But those are my thoughts. Looting and shooting may have happened, but it has not started yet. So as of right now, November 2nd, it's about 21:55 Central Standard Time. I'm seeing no viable reports of that. I'm seeing AI generated videos, but that's it. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.